Gentlemen, we bring you live the International Review Forum 2026, the second plenary session by the United Nations.
Fostering stronger links with our diaspora communities. Third, Albania has strengthened its capacity to manage migration in a humane and orderly manner. We have improved interinstitutional coordination, enhanced contingency planning, and reinforced protection-sensitive border management. At the same time, we are advancing return and reintegration efforts with greater emphasis on counseling, tailored support, and sustainable reintegration at the local level, while strengthening engagement with the diaspora. Excellencies, Albania remains firmly committed to further strengthen migration governance in line with international standards and shared responsibilities. We will continue to invest in data-driven policy making, expand safe and regular pathways, and enhance protection mechanisms for all migrants. We also stand ready to deepen regional and international cooperation. And with that, I thank you.
I thank the Minister of Albania and now have the honor to call on the His Excellency Ahmed Ghazarian, Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs of Armenia.
Madam President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Armenia reaffirms its strong commitment to the Global Compact on Migration, which has become an essential tool for our policy making. Migration remains a defining issue for Armenia's development agenda. We have long experienced significant emigration, while in recent years we have also witnessed growing trends of immigration and transit. Our approach is therefore built around three interconnected priorities: strengthening resilient institutions, improving citizen-centric services, and accelerating digital transformation to support both. First, strengthening resilient institutions has been crucial to our reforms. A major institutional milestone was the establishment of the Unified Migration and Citizenship Service under the Ministry of Interior. This reform consolidated migration, asylum, citizenship, and population services under single authority, improving coordination, accountability, and evidence-based policymaking. We have also advanced comprehensive legal reforms by updating legislation on foreigners, refugees and asylum, citizenship and anti-trafficking. All reforms are backed by legal improvements and digital solutions. These reforms strengthen alignment with international and European standards and are reinforced by Armenia's dialogue with the EU on visa liberalization. The large number of refugee displacement in 2023 further tested the resilience of our institutions. We responded by granting temporary protection to more than 115,000 displaced persons and ensuring their access to equal rights. This response demonstrated the importance of strong institutions capable of acting rapidly and responsibly in times of crisis. Secondly, we are focused on improving citizen-centric services. Migration governance is ultimately about serving people. We continue to promote regular pathways and fair labor mobility by simplifying access to visa applications and strengthening labor protections. Third, digital transformation has become a key enabler for both institutional resilience and improved services. Armenia has expanded its digital systems, improved population registry, introduced electronic procedures for citizenship applications, and launched reforms for digital work and residence permits. These measures reduce administrative burden, improve transparency, and make services faster and accessible for citizens and migrants. At the end, let me reaffirm Armenia's commitment to GCM.
I thank the Deputy Minister of Armenia. I now give the floor to His Excellency Ali Omar, State Minister of Somalia.
Madam President, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I thank the President of the General Assembly, the Secretary General, and the Director General of the IOM. Somalia comes to this discussion with a perspective of a country that has experienced migration in all its dimensions, as a country of origin, as a country of transit, displacement, diaspora, and also return. For more than 3 decades, migration has been part of the Somali's national history. Since the collapse of the Somali state in 1991, many Somalis have left their homes because of conflict, insecurity, drought, poverty, and limited economic opportunity. Many cross the Horn of Africa, the Gulf of Aden, the Red Sea, the Sahara, the Mediterranean in search of safety, dignity, education, work, and hope. Too many have lost lives along these routes. Too many were exposed to trafficking, smuggling, detention, exploitation, and family separation. Their experience reminds us that migration is not only a matter of border management, it's a matter of protection, development, stability, and human dignity. At the same time, Somalia continues to face a major internal displacement pressure driven by climate shocks, food insecurity, and recurrent drought. These pressures affect our cities, our local communities, our public. They also shape how we approach retainees and integration. Somalia welcomes its citizens home always without a condition, but we must be clear the manner in which they return matters. Returns must be voluntary, safe, dignified, and sustainable. It must be based on an individual assessment, a humane treatment, a proper documentation, and a respect of international obligations. Returns must not end at the airport gate. Migrants who return without a livelihood support, housing, psychological assistance, access to service, and community acceptance may simply move from international migration into a low internal displacement. The outcome does not serve the migrant, the receiving community, the country of origin, or the country of destination. For this reason, Somalia calls for return and integration framework that protect the dignity of migrant.
I thank the State Minister of Somalia and now give the floor to His Excellency Felix Ricardo Américo Antonio de Negri Boza, Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs of Peru.
Gracias, señora.
Thank you, Madam President. Peru welcomes the holding of this forum, which calls us to assess the implementation of the Global Compact for Migration and to renew our commitment to a safe, orderly, and regular migration. In an international context marked by increasing challenges, this space reaffirms the value of dialogue, multilateralism, and cooperation as pillars of a migration governance, an increasingly effective migration governance. Along these lines, we welcome forward to the adoption of the Declaration on Progress as a key outcome of this forum. For Peru, migration should be addressed through a balanced approach, coordinating the shared responsibility between its respect for human rights and the exercise of national sovereignty. We take part in this forum with complex migration as a country of origin, transit, destination and return. Through this experience, we can reaffirm that migration is not an isolated or circumstantial phenomenon. Rather, it is a reality that demands comprehensive responses, and it needs to be managed with strengthened state resources. We highlight here the Intergovernmental Roundtable for Migration, which since 2011 has been the main space for articulating migration policy in our country. Through this, we promote the design of the national strategy for the migrant and refugee population. This is geared towards providing services, promoting the integration and protecting persons in situations of vulnerability. The recent presentation of the voluntary country report on the implementation of the compact, carried out through a pan-governmental, all-of-government inclusive process, reaffirms Peru's commitment to inclusive dialogue-based migration policy. We recognize the efforts made by states to build their capacities in addressing mixed migratory flows, irregular migration and organized crime. However, these efforts should not translate into stigmatizing migrants or narratives that limit evidence-based public policies. We reaffirm our commitment to implementing the compact, and we will continue to contribute multilateralism and international cooperation to strengthen a balanced, responsible, sustainable migration governance. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias,
Thank you very much, Vice Minister.
I now give the floor to His Excellency Mirlanbek Gonchokov, Deputy Minister of Labor, Social Welfare and...
The Kyrgyz Republic reaffirms its commitment to the Global Compact. First of all, let me express my gratitude for the opportunity to speak here at this International Migration Forum at the United Nations. The Kyrgyz Republic attaches priority importance to the development of international cooperation in the field of migration. We think that this platform plays a key role in strengthening global partnerships and developing migration management. The Kyrgyz Republic has presented its national voluntary review on the implementation of the Global Compact. This review was prepared through a broad and inclusive process. It involved government bodies, civil society, international organizations, experts, and UN Migration Network. The Kyrgyz Republic notes real progress in key areas of the Global Compact. Our country has a comprehensive support system. It covers pre-departure training, employment, support abroad, and return. It includes hotlines, online consultations, educational programs, and pre-migration and reintegration centers. We pay special attention to the economic potential of migration. The country is implementing the Mechanism 1+1 program. It supports migrants who invest in small and medium-sized business. Furthermore, the Kyrgyz Republic ensures the protection of the rights and legitimate interests of foreign nationals within its own territory, including equal access to justice and social services. We remain convinced that effective migration management is only possible through the strengthening of international cooperation and the fulfillment of joint commitment. The Kyrgyz Republic reaffirms its steadfast commitment to the principles of the Global Compact for safe, orderly and regular migration. Thank you for your attention.
I thank the Deputy Minister of Kyrgyzstan. I now give the floor to His Excellency Saul Pakuruku, Vice Minister of Human Mobility of Ecuador.
Gracias, señora.
Thank you, Madam President, distinguished colleagues. Good afternoon. Ecuador is a country of origin, transit, destination and return for migrants. This reality has made a profound mark on our public policy and has allowed us to take on migration not only as a challenge but also an opportunity for development, social cohesion and regional integration. Over the last 4 years, Ecuador has made specific headway in implementing the Global Compact. I highlight the extraordinary regularization processes that granted legal status to more than 104,000 migrants, mainly Venezuelans, guaranteeing their access to rights and services. We've also boosted our normative and institutional framework through the adoption of the National Implementation Plan for the Compact 2025-2029. This guides our migration policy with a human rights and sustainable development approach. In terms of regular migration and decent work, Ecuador has promoted circular migration agreements with European, American, Middle Eastern countries and coastal regions in Oceania, promoting temporary, ethical and protected labor mobility. We have also worked on protecting persons on the move, combating human trafficking, migrant smuggling through specific action in regional mechanisms such as the Quito process. Nonetheless, we are well aware of the persistent challenges, transnational organized crime, the pressure on local capacities of climate change, discrimination and xenophobia that affect social cohesion and the lives of the most vulnerable. These challenges cannot be addressed in isolation. For this reason, we reiterate that international cooperation, the shared responsibility approach and reciprocity among states are crucial preconditions for effective migration governance. Ecuador deeply values the support of international organizations, bilateral cooperation and the role of civil society and academia. These are all strategic partners in each and every area where we've made progress. As we look ahead to 2030, we reaffirm our national and global commitments as a leader in the Global Compact, expanding pathways for regular migration, strengthening data management and evidence-based policies, consolidating interinstitutional and territorial coordination, and continuing to promote the implementation of the Compact. Ecuador firmly believes that a safe, orderly and regular migration strengthens societies, it protects lives, and it gives rise to development. Today, we renew our commitment for leadership, dialogue and cooperation so that human mobility is a driver of development for the world. Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Minister.
I would like to present our most sincere apologies to His Excellency Mederbek Aliyev, first Vice Chairman of the Parliament of Kyrgyzstan, because the name was announced wrongfully. Unfortunately, it was on our list. So our sincere apologies for that mistake. I now would like to give the floor to His Excellency Georgi Cheboadze, Deputy Minister of Justice of Georgia.
Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to the President of the General Assembly and the UN Network on Migration for organizing the second International Migration Review Forum. Migration trends have changed significantly in these years. This requires coordinated whole of government strategies, and such procedures should address both the opportunities and challenges on migration. The Global Compact for Safe, Orderly and Regular Migration is an important milestone. It strengthens international cooperation. Its voluntary nature allows member states to adapt it to national context while supporting shared global goals. Georgia has supported the Compact from the beginning. In line with this, we adopt the migration strategy for 2021 to to 2030. It is based on the concept of migration and development. It aims to reduce negative impacts and increase the benefits of migration for sustainable development. Having this opportunity, allow me to highlight a few key developments. Georgia has strengthened its labor migration system. We introduced work permits and developed circular migration frameworks. These steps improve transparency and access to the labor market. We have also reinforced efforts against irregular migration. These include stronger international cooperation, effective readmission, and modern border management. Legal and policy frameworks in areas such as preventing trafficking, document security, and personal data protection have also been strengthened in line with international standards. We are improving policy across the migration cycle. These include reintegration programs and strengthening engagement with the diaspora. We continue to reform the asylum system in line with international standards. We ensure access to protection. Integration also remains a priority with extended support services. Dear colleagues, technological innovation is becoming increasingly important. Georgia is advancing digital migration management. This includes digital services, modern border technologies, and secure identity systems. At the international level, Georgia remains committed to multilateral cooperation to support global migration initiatives. Thank you.
I thank the Deputy Minister. I now give the floor to His Excellency Astrid Isseni, Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs of North Macedonia.
Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege to speak on behalf of the Ministry of Interior, Republic of North Macedonia, at the Second International Migration Review Forum. North Macedonia has been tested by migration pressures in recent years, and that experience has shaped a clear conviction that migration must be managed with both firmness and humanity, with respect for rights and with strong international cooperation. That reality forced us to act quickly, to adapt our institutions, and to invest in systems that protect people while preserving public order. International partnership has been central to our progress. The joint operation with Frontex, launched in April 2023, and our cooperation with the European Union Agency for Asylum and UNHCR have helped us to raise standards, exchange expertise, and implement practical tools, multilingual information, materials, legal guidance, and unite standard operating procedures that make a real difference on the ground. These partnerships replace national responsibility, they amplify it, enabling faster information exchange and more effective response to cross-border criminal networks that exploit people. We responded by strengthening our legal and operational framework. We have strengthened our border management capacities, aligned our legislation with European standards, and introduced advanced biometric registration systems. On-site registration and biometric procedures in our reception center improved data systems and equipped our border asylum service to process claims fairly and efficiently. Importantly, these measures were accompanied by continuous training from officers on identifying and protecting vulnerable persons, including company children. Our asylum system is founded on individual rights-based procedures. Every application receives a comprehensive assessment with interpretation and access to legal aid where needed. Detention is used only as a last resort, after careful case-by-case consideration in full compliance with international standards. We have also prioritized the protection of the most vulnerable through SOPs and joint trainings that ensure consistent human treatment across institutions.
I thank the Deputy Minister. I now give the floor to His Excellency Domingos Vieira Lopes, Secretary of State for International Cooperation and Angolan Communities from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Angola.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, today we welcome the convening of this important forum. Climate and geopolitical factors, even more interconnected. As a country of origin, transit of destination, Angola views human mobility as a strategic issue that requires a balanced approach between national sovereignty, international responsibility, and solidarity among states. In this context, we welcome the focus of a 360-degree route-based approach, which is essential to translate the global compact of migration in concrete and effective action, with active and concrete actions. Excellencies, allow me to highlight 3 priorities for Angola. 1. Addressing the structural causes of migration through sustainable development, job creation, climate resilience, and promotion of peace. Expanding regular and safe migration pathways, including labor mobility, skill partnerships, and family reunification. Strengthening the protection of migrants along migration routes by combating trafficking and exploitation while ensuring access to basic service through a human right-based approach. Excellencies, Angola has been strengthening its commitments through the reinforcement of its legal and institutional framework, the modernization of migration management, and the enhancement of the border security. We also wish to highlight the launch in 2025 and in partnership with the EOM, the Migration Governance Indicators Project, aimed at supporting the more effective and data-driven public policies. For Angola, migration is intrinsically linked to national development priorities, in line with the National Development Plan, the 2030 Agenda, and the Agenda 2063. The Republic of Angola, faithful to its vocation as a bridge between nations, we will continue to work with all member states to ensure that the Global Compact becomes a true instrument for peace, development, and promotion of human dignity. I thank you. I thank you, Deputy Minister.
I now give the floor to His Excellency Héctor Francisco Juanca Gutierrez. Vice Minister of Consular and Institutional Management of the plurinational state of Bolivia.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates and representatives. It was a true honor for the plurinational state of Bolivia to participate at the second Migration Review Forum. Bolivia comes before the international community not only with figures but also with a firm commitment to implementing the Global Compact for Migration. Our country understands human mobility not as a problem to resolve, but rather a reality to manage with dignity, respect, and in compliance with the human rights of migrants. Today, our commitment is leading to specific commitments aligned with the objectives under the Global Compact, prioritizing the dignity of our citizens overseas and for those who have chosen Bolivia as their home. Our active participation within the UN Network for Migration is testimony to the fact that Bolivia believes in and promotes multilateralism, cooperation and strategic alliances. Political will of governments should be true and effective to implement these that protect the human rights of migrants. External support such as assistance from the IOM to allow us to develop plans with a human rights-based approach. Looking towards the 2026 Progress Declaration, we reaffirm our commitment to protecting the most vulnerable, promoting a universal citizenship that values the migrant as an active agent of development. Let us continue to work so that the transit of every person is a path of rights rather than of dangers and restrictions of those rights. Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Minister.
I now give the floor to His Excellency Miguel Angel Aranda Daroxi, Vice Minister of Administration and Technical Affairs of Paraguay.
Excellencias,
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, Paraguay welcomes the holding of the second review for international migration, and we reaffirm our commitment to the Global Compact for safe, orderly and regular migration. This is a framework for cooperation based on shared responsibility, respect for the sovereignty of states and for the human rights of migrants. Since the last forum, Paraguay has made steps forwards in improving migration governance, aligning it with international standards and underpinning it with the principles of non-discrimination, equality, due process and migratory regularization. In the same vein, we've strengthened our registration and migration control systems, including technology that improve the traceability of migrant flows for evidence-based decision-making. We have made progress in digitalizing our processes and in providing clear, timely data, ensuring predictable, accessible processes. We've also consolidated a program for addressing human trafficking together with other early warning and differentiated treatment programs of persons in situations of vulnerability, strengthening interinstitutional coordination and promoting state responses. In terms of the residence options, we've stepped those up and also provided more decent employment opportunities to ensure social inclusion. Paraguay grants particular importance to regional processes for dialogue and international cooperation. In this sense, we value the opportunities through this forum, which help us to raise the profile of the various themes, strengthened coordination with the UN system, and allows us to consolidate a comprehensive approach here. Migration is a global reality which, when well managed, represents an opportunity for the development of individuals and societies. The common challenge is to ensure its implementation, follow-up and review in a safe, orderly and regular manner, protecting rights of migrants. We reiterate that no state can address migration alone. We need to dialogue, information and the integrated border management, promoting migrant governance that is based on data. Excellencies, to conclude with regard to the progress declaration to be adopted, we would like to specify that certain aspects remain the subject of debate among states and our societies. In this sense, Paraguay believes that its implementation should be carried out in accordance with the priorities and realities. The microphone is being cut off.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Minister.
Now give the floor to His Excellency Jedi Mowbray Armagh, Deputy Minister for Legal Affairs of Liberia.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Liberia reaffirms its commitment to the implementation of the Global Compact for safe, orderly, and regular migration. Liberia approaches migration not as a challenge to be contained, but as a reality to be governed and an opportunity to be harnessed. Since 2022, we have taken deliberate steps to strengthen migration governance. The establishment of the Technical Coordination Mechanism on Migration marks a significant milestone, reinforcing a whole-of-government approach and improving institutional coordination under the leadership of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Migration is now firmly embedded in our national framework, the Arrest Agenda for Inclusive Development, 2025 to 2029. This reflects our conviction that well-managed migration contributes meaningfully to economic growth, resilience, and national stability. We have strengthened our evidence base through the 2022 population and housing census and migration governance indicator assessments. These tools are informing policy, guiding reforms, and helping us identify critical gaps that we are actively addressing. Liberia has also advanced efforts to modernize border management systems, strengthen legal frameworks to combat trafficking in persons, and improve coordination among institutions responsible for protection of migrants. We are equally committed to leveraging the potential of our diaspora through structured pathways to translate diaspora engagement into tangible development outcomes. Distinguished delegates, we are realistic about the challenges that remain. Fragmented data systems, capacity constraints, and uneven service delivery continue to affect implementation. However, these challenges do not deter us. They sharpen our focus and define our priorities. Liberia is actively advancing the development and adoption of comprehensive national migration policy to consolidate institutional mandates and guard long-term governance. We are prioritizing investments in data harmonization, border infrastructure, digital systems, and protection frameworks, particularly for vulnerable populations. We are strengthening international cooperation and targeted technical support to ensure that national commitment is matched by global solidarity. Distinguished Chair, Liberia remains steadfast in its commitment to the full, effective, and inclusive implementation, follow-up, and review of the Global Compact for Migration. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. I now give the floor to His Excellency Ivica Bosniak, Deputy Minister of Security of Bosnia-Herzegovina.
Poštovane ekscelencije, uvažene kolege.
Distinguished Excellencies, dear ladies and colleagues, Bosnia and Herzegovina remains firmly committed to strengthening the international cooperation in managing migration guided by the principles of the Global Compact for safe, orderly and regular migration. A country located on the important migratory routes of the Western Balkans, we are approaching migration comprehensively, trying to establish a balance between security aspects, protection of human rights and complying with international obligations. Over the last period of time, we have recorded a significant decrease of irregular migratory movements, higher than 40% compared to the previous year. Simultaneously, data confirm that Bosnia and Herzegovina still remains primarily a transit country that largely determines our approach and priorities. Parallel with that, we have used institutional capacities. It includes introducing a identification of foreign nationals, enhancing procedures, as well as intensifying cooperation with the European Union Asylum Agency. Also, we are working on a gradual transition in managing reception capacities from the international organizations onto domestic institutions, whereby we are additionally strengthening national ownership and system sustainability. At the operational level, we have strengthened measures of border management, enhanced regional cooperation, including joint patrols with the neighboring states, and additionally empowered combating migrant smuggling networks. In that context, we are in particular highlighting the importance of enhancing cooperation with Frontex as the key partner in strengthening border management and aligning with the European standard. Bosnia and Herzegovina remains a reliable partner in the domain of readmission as well, in continuous cooperation with the European Union members. In accordance with the aforementioned, we are currently working on developing a new strategy 2026-2030, aiming at further strengthening of a coordinated approach. Taking into consideration the importance of the Global Compact as the key framework for enhancing the migration management, the Ministry of Security of Bosnia and Herzegovina has prepared and sent to the Council of Ministers of Bosnia and Herzegovina the information on participation at the International Migration Review Forum, along with a proposal for further steps within its implementation. We are expecting that the Council of Ministers will consider and adopt this information in the upcoming period, whereby the institutional framework for further operating in this field would be additionally empowered. Upon adopting the information, Bosnia and Herzegovina will formally submit its pledge for compiling voluntary review on the implementation of the Global Compact on Migration.
Thank the Deputy Minister. I now give the floor to Her Excellency Sheikha Nishwa bint Abdul. I'm very sorry, my mistake. I now give the floor to Her Excellency Fatoumata Diaw, Secretary of State for International Cooperation and Communities of Guinea-Bissau.
President, distinguished delegates, it is an honor to address this assembly on behalf of the government of the Republic of Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau aligns itself with the statement of the African Group. We speak from a country where migration is not theoretical, it is lived, shaped by opportunity, vulnerability, and resilience. Since the adoption of the Global Compact, we have strengthened migration governance. We reactivated our national migration platform, bringing together government, civil society, and partners. We are finalizing a national migration policy and action plan focused on governance, protection, mobility, and the fight against trafficking. Our approach is becoming more strategic and focused. We are investing in migration data, strengthening advisory services for return and reintegration, and expanding access to legal identity through passports and birth registration in our embassies. Because documentation is protection, dignity, and rights. At the same time, we are addressing root causes through youth employment and vocational training, expanding alternatives for young people too often faced with a single choice departure. We are reinforcing efforts against trafficking, improving border management, and engaging our diaspora as a partner in development. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, these advances are real, but they are fragile. Guinea-Bissau is increasingly becoming a transit and departure point along the West African route, not by choice, but by shifting pressures. When routes When roots close elsewhere, fragility does not disappear, it relocates. This reveals a deeper imbalance. Migration responsibilities are too often carried by countries least equipped to absorb their costs. If we are serious about the Global Compact, three shifts are essential. From short-term assistance to sustained investment in national systems, from containment to opportunity through legal pathways, and from declarations to genuine, equitable responsibility sharing. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, migration, when governed with dignity and cooperation, can be a force for development, stability, and human connection. For Guinea-Bissau, this is immediate, human, and central to our shared future. The strength of this compact will be measured not by what we do here, but by what we sustain beyond this room. I thank you, Madam President.
Muito obrigada, Senhora Secretária de Estado. I'll give the floor to Her Excellency Sheikha Nishwa bint Abdul Rahman Al Thani, Vice Minister of Labour, Secretary General of the National Committee for Combating Human Trafficking of Qatar.
Rahman Rahim. In the name of God, the Merciful, the Compassionate, we come here today while facing a clear reality. Migration is not a temporary crisis to manage. It is a global reality that changes every day. The question is no longer whether migration will continue, but how do we build a governance that makes it more regular, more humane, and more sustained. And this is where the importance of the forum lies, not in statements, but in its ability to turn the commitments into measurable outcomes and cooperation that is constructive and international. Today we participate as a country of origin and transit. We have decided to rebuild our relationship with arrivals through major restructuring. We have cancelled exit permissions, and we have worked without any arbitrary conditions. In terms of protection, we have established centers for visas and services in origin countries, so protection begins before traveling. And we have acted systems for complaints and remedies. As of accountability, we have strengthened the system of oversight and compliance, and we have legal responsibility and criminal responsibility against perpetrators, because no reform without accountability is diminished. We realize that reforming the labor market is not complete without fighting trafficking in persons as a transnational crime that exploits gaps in systems. We have migration, labor, residency, and combating trafficking in persons within one unified system. And now the reforms that are implemented cover a large range of the GCM objectives, and we have a 360-degree system to positively affect the lives of 2 million migrants. And this is a continuing approach, because if we reform our systems, we're not doing that because we are responding to pressures. We're doing it because investment in human rights is an investment to the stability of community and the competitiveness of our economy. Based on this, we call on focusing on three priorities. First, expanding regular pathways for migration as a strategic tool for economy and stability, away from any practices that could lead to unfair competitiveness between origin destinations. Second, to have protection through the entire path of migration based on shared responsibilities. Third, to develop measurement tools through this forum, as we need to measure the outcomes and not be based just on the declarations. The value of the forum is not by having it convened but by its impact. We are participating because we're convinced that the humanitarian management of migration is possible and can be done through partnership with the international community. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Minister.